Today we celebrate the solemnity of the Most Holy Trinity, three persons in one God. And this is all about our understanding of the image of God. In the first place, we see God as that supreme being responsible for everything that exists, especially when we put into consideration the beauty of creation, the spiritual qualities that underpins our lives. But God is much more bigger than that. That is why the person of Christ helps us to understand what God really is, especially when he talks of God as his Father and our Father. He promises to send the Holy Spirit so that they can come and make their home within us. So God keeps communicating himself to us through the goodness of creation, through his word made flesh, Jesus, through his abiding presence, the Holy Spirit. So God the Father and God the Son exist in a relationship of love that is bound by the Holy Spirit. But one good thing is a good number of people have bothered themselves so much to explain the existence of this most holy Trinity intellectually. But it doesn't seem to work out. Somebody like St. Augustine, he tried as much as possible to understand the Blessed Trinity and how it works, but he could not until it was revealed to him in a vision that trying to understand the mystery of the Blessed Trinity is like trying to empty the ocean into a tiny hole using the teaspoon. The explanation that can come close to this will be the image of water, where water exists in three different states. It exists in the liquid state as water, it exists in the solid state as ice, and also exists in the gaseous state as vapor. But in all these states, it still contains that chemical substance HO2. But my interest today is not about the intellectual understanding of the Trinity, but rather trying to tap into the effects of the relationship that exists between the three persons of the Blessed Trinity on each and every one of us as believers. There is this story of a young minister who went to preach in a native community, and he began to talk to them about the doctrine of the Blessed Trinity. So he was speaking to the elders in that group, and while talking to them, he spoke about God the Father. To them, it made sense because they have the image of the Father. When he talked about God the Son, it also made sense to them because they have the image of the Son of the Father. But they expected him to conclude by saying that the Holy Spirit is the wife of the Father and the mother of the Son, which of course he didn't do, but rather began to explain to them how the Holy Spirit proceeds from the Father, how the Spirit also proceeds from the Son. And at this point, the elder said, "This doesn't add up. We will hear you some other time." But one good thing is, the children in that same class were not interested in the argument that was going on, but rather they were so much interested in the loving atmosphere that they saw in the new religion and its message of God's love for people, as opposed to the retributive justice of the traditional religion in which they are born into. So, for us to understand that this thing is a mystery, we need to also take something out of it. There is this story of the bishop who went for confirmation mass, and in the mass he asked them what is the definition of the Blessed Trinity. So one little girl raised her hand and said, Blessed Trinity is three persons in one God. But the bishop didn't hear her very well because the bishop makes use of hearing aid. So he said, sorry, please, I didn't quite understand what you said. So the little girl laughed and said, my Lord, you are not supposed to, because the Blessed Trinity is a mystery. Yes, really, it is a mystery, but still, there is something we can get out of it. That's why one priest, Father Mike Nab, said, all beings cast shadow, and the greater the being, the greater the shadow. So a God without a mystery would be a God without claims to our reverence. But I think, my brothers and sisters, we have a God that should and always have claim to our reverence. And it is only in the light of that loving atmosphere that the children perceived in the new religion and its message of God's love that we can begin to understand the doctrine of the Most Holy Trinity. One God existing in three persons, a clear indication that God doesn't exist in isolation, but exists in a community of love and sharing. So if it is in a community of love and sharing, we are meant to understand from the anthropology of life that people naturally behave like the God they worship. So those who worship a God of war will always be violent, and people who worship a God of wrath will definitely have the tendency of being vengeful. But for those of us who worship a God of love, a God that shares, it will be a very big contradiction for us to be living in selfish isolation. So what lessons are we to learn from the relationship that exists in the three persons of one God? That none of us is self-sufficient. This is what Mother Teresa would rather say, that the most irritable, the most painful poverty is loneliness, and our ability to realize that we are unloved. So we need this interaction. We need this relationship. And that is why for each and every one of us, that the relationship we need, that we learn from this Blessed Trinity today, is something that will touch the lives of each and every one of us in relationship to one another. The love that exists between them is a love that we need to share for one another. And the world is the way it is today simply because we have lacked that which the Blessed Trinity is giving to us today, love. And my brothers and sisters, unless, and I say unless, the power of love overcomes the love of power, it will be difficult for the world to be at peace. So as we celebrate the solemnity of the Trinity today, let us not bother ourselves so much about the intellectual understanding of how it exists, but rather bother ourselves with the lessons of the relationship of love that exists between the three persons in one God. May God continue to bless you all.